Hello, everybody. Andy here from Glass Half Dead, and today I'm going to be talking about Starcraft, the tabletop miniatures game. In case you do not know, it is a miniatures game of the computer game called Starcraft. Very informative of me, I know. But basically, they are going up for pre-orders today when I'm recording this in 2 hours' time. Yes, I did just look at my watch on a naked wrist. Thank you. I'm very smart. And they are going to then release at the end of next month. So we're looking kind of end of April, is the current thought process. I want to get it out straight away. There is no rush to pre-order this. We are not, this is not a limited item. There are limited items within this, but it's not like they've only created 500 of these. And if you don't pre-order immediately, then you don't get it. So this is not GW. We have time to order, and I will explain what is actually limited. But there is no rush. Take your time, absorb not just this video, but every video that's out, and there will be many content creators discussing this, which I will talk about at the end of this video. And there you go. I am not sponsored by Archon. They have not sent me anything. So this is just me I'm just a dude that likes the game and wants to talk about it. Of course, if you are only here for StarCraft and not for my normal content, Kill Team, don't subscribe to me. I'm not going to talk about it that much, but I'm excited for it now. So there we go. Right, let's shrinkify myself so that we can see the far more interesting stuff, which is the slides that I've made. So what to buy before it's too late? Because yes, although this is a pre-order where there is no limit on what you can order, and they will make it to order because it's Archon Studio from Poland. There are some things that after this pre-order, if you have not picked up, maybe you're watching this 6 months in the future, who knows, you will not be able to buy. And I'm going to tell you all of that. So let's take it nice and easy, nice and chill. Very quickly, I'm going to talk about what is this game in case you're just somebody that likes the notion of StarCraft and crafting in the stars, but you don't actually know what this is. I'll very quickly break it down for you. Or maybe you're coming over from Kill Team, you're just don't know what's going on really. I can tell you. Then I'm going to talk about the actual prices to the point costs and all that stuff so that you can get a head start on what to pre-order. Again, there is no rush. It's cool, be chilled. This is not Saturday at 10 a.m. buying a GW box. So very quickly, what is StarCraft, the miniature game? That's TMG, the miniatures game. It is an alternating activations by phase full-scale game. Full scale, so alternating activation by phase means that you're in the movement phase, and one player will move their model, and then another player will move one of their models, and then back to the first player, they will move one of their. I'm using the wrong word. It's actually unit, not model, but let's not get into it. So it's back and forth per phase. In case you haven't, that is, in my opinion, the best way to do that sort of movement. I have not played the game. I want to be clear about that. This is just me talking hypothetically. I have yet to play this because it's not released. And although the rules are out there, I want the models. So there you go. But in general, as a concept, I like alternating phases. I think it's probably the best way to do a larger sized game. It allows you to move through the clip a little bit faster than anything else. And in case you are from Kill Team 2018, that's kind of what happened for how Kill Team 2018 worked, slightly. Full Scale Army, this is debatable. But I do want to say this is not a skirmish game. Okay, the 2K point game, which is their standard game size that it is balanced for and is what competitive tournaments will be, most likely, is played on a 3 by 4.5 board size. So that's just not a skirmish game. Okay, even if that's the only metric you take, not a board game. Oh, sorry, it's not a skirmish game. I do talk about how many models you will see in a game in a moment. Don't worry. It does feel like Archon Studio is putting competitive first. I mentioned this here because some people just want competitive games. And some people don't, and some people only want fluffy narrative and all this stuff. I say competitive first because Archon Studio, in some of their Friday AMAs, have already stated their intent for the competitive market and how they want to support it. One could argue they're putting the cart before the horse. They do have to have a plan. Is this a good thing? Is it not? That's kind of up to you. From what we can see so far, it doesn't seem like they're pushing any sort of narrative campaign play. There is a lot of scope within the rules to do that in a similar way that you can play the StarCraft 2 campaign and you can upgrade your units. I'm sure you could do a very, very similar thing here, but it does seem like it's competitive play first. We then get FFG. Now I've put that there because for the old heads out there that know what Fantasy Flight Games used to create board games like and war games. To me, this has a real FFG style. That is purely a compliment. I loved some of my best games are from Fantasy Flight Games, back when before they were Asmodee and Embracer and all that crap. Yeah, so that is a positive. What I really mean by this is that they've kind of refined a formula and added a lot of board game esque things to it. So I suppose what I'd be meaning here is if you think back to Rune Wars or Star Wars Legion, perhaps, it uses a lot of tokens, which I, in my mind, compare to board games, and I generally prefer that. There you go. So to some, you could argue it's a war game, board game hybrid, but I think that most modern war games are becoming more board game-esque in just how the market prefers it to be at the moment. And it's really only GW that stays mired in the legacy of 40-year-old game mechanics. So it's worth mentioning, obviously, because Blizzard and GW are so intertwined in many aspects, and everybody knows how 40K plays pretty much. But I would liken this more to FFG games than GW games. This is just me zooming in on the picture. This is 2 starter boxes put together. So that's a rough idea of what you might see for your table. There you go. Right, we then have game sizes. So very roughly, obviously this is, right, so I worked this out based on the beta points, which I think have probably changed if I had to guess, and could be different. And also this is averages, assuming that you're taking kind of the easiest, the path of least resistance to models on the board, which means buying your starter boxes, etc. Yeah, there you go. So very roughly for a 2K point game, you should expect the Protoss to have about 30 models, the Terran to have about 35, and the Zerg to have 60-ish. The reason for that, of course, is the Zerg have access to Zerglings. All of the factions have a lot of flexibility in list building. You can go really big horde, or you can go really elite. Yeah, so you could do that however you want. Yeah, this was done based on the starter boxes, basically. Yeah, there you go. Cool. All right, stop jabbering, Andy. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I realized that Zerg is double the Protoss. You could build them without Zerglings, and then you would have a significantly more elite unit army that would have fewer models than Protoss. Likewise, the Protoss, that's not built particularly elite or particularly swarmy. Not that you can really swarm with Protoss, but there you go. But that's the number of models you should expect to see on the board. Keep in mind, these are models, not units. So when you think about activations, it's not 30 activations. It's significantly less. I have to touch on skirmish because I am ultimately a skirmish gamer. I prefer skirmish on it because it's supposed to be faster. It's supposed to be a bit easier, and there's less models. It's lower cost, etc., etc. It's easier to play. It's easier to transport. I prefer skirmish games. This game does not pass my checks to be a skirmish game, even if it's purely on the size of the board. It is also being stated as being balanced around 2K. So even though there is technically a skirmish mode, which is 1K, is it? Yeah, that's kind of 1K, and they say in the rulebook, 1K is just for learning the game. This isn't a real point size. They technically have it. It doesn't have its own missions. It has its own board size, which is 3x3. Yeah, it's not a skirmish game. However, of note is that 1K points is only roughly 5 activations. Now you might think 5 activations, that's not much. Good job, Andy. That's not much. And that's true. However, not to get your hopes up too much, a 2K point game is still going to run you 2.5, 3 hours, roughly. I'm sure as people get faster, we could be looking at 2 hours. And at that point, 2-hour games is the same as Kill Team. But at the moment, people aren't really hitting that yet, but that's because the game hasn't released, and people are playing on TTS, which is a slower version of playing the game. But there you go. So I think a good point, after looking at number of models on the board, 30, those 30 models is only actually 5 activations. So if you think about Kill Team, because I'm a Kill Teamer, that's playing one of the most elite teams. And you know what? When I play an elite team versus an elite team in Kill Team, I can smash that in hour 15 pretty easily. So there you go. Right. That's kind of what is StarCraft, the miniatures game, summed up. 10 minutes. If you're new to the channel, that's very quick for me. Jesus, I am not brief. Let's go over to what you should buy. So first things first, over on Reddit, somebody posted this breakdown they did. Really good. If you want to go through and look at all of the numbers yourself, I will link this in the video description. Shout out to the person that did this. It's always good to see some data. Right. To be clear, I didn't really use this in my own calculations. It was just, because all the information's out there. And I didn't use dollars. I used pounds because that's easier for me, as I'm in the UK, if you can't tell from the voice. But this is just a cool sheet that most of my viewers are obviously American, so this will be helpful to you. Right. So what is actually limited in this pre-order run? There are 2 boxes. The Founders Editions is what they're called, and that is the 2-player starter and the Protoss starter. So if you just want the Terran, that's the humans, or the Zerg, that's the Tyrannus, then you have to buy the 2-player starter. If you want the Protoss, you have to buy the Protoss. So obviously, this is a bit of a pickle. If somebody wants the Terran and the Protoss, you still have to buy the 2-player starter, and that obviously gives you more models than you really need because you don't want the Zerg, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. There you go. I'm just going to I don't think it's an issue at all. There you go. But if you are in that situation, you can always eBay the other models. It's fine. This also is the start of our price points. So the 2-player starter is £150. This is without any local game store discounts. I will talk about those in a moment. The Protoss starter is £80. Keep in mind, the Protoss starter is, I think, 16 models. And that is actually very comparable, just pure model count wise, to Combat Patrols for GW. The 2-player starter is, look, GW, when they do a starter box, knows how to throw plastic at you. No company can reach the sheer level of plastic for the price point of GW. You do not get as many models in the 2-player starter as you do in a GW starter, but I don't think that's an issue at all for me. You can then look at value. Like, what are you getting here? In a GW starter or Combat Patrol, you're getting roughly a quarter of an army. Roughly. Sometimes much less in some of those Combat Patrols. You're getting like an eighth of an army. But yeah, in this, a Protoss starter for £80 will give you half an army. That will give you 1k points. So if you buy 2, you are a full game ready to go for £160. I think that's a pretty damn good price point. As someone that has gotten into, if I can let me list some stuff, Star Wars Shatterpoint, Star Wars Legion, Corvus Belli Infinity, and Warcrow, War Machine, um, yeah, a bunch of other stuff as well. Let me tell you this. If you get the full game, a full army, for 160 quid, your quid's in. Jesus Christ, that is cheap. Look, it's not that many models, but it's very cheap. So that is genuinely a really good price point. And we will talk about these in a moment, but let's talk about what limited edition really means. So again, you can buy as many of these boxes as you want for the next month as the pre-orders go up, okay? If you want to buy 50 of these, you can do that. That's okay. However, once the pre-order period is done, you cannot buy these again. These are a single print run item. What that means is that in 2 months' time, once they've all sold out because they were all pre-ordered, whatever, these are gone for good. They have talked about what they're doing next. There will be more boxes. There will be retail-specific boxes, but these are pre-order-specific boxes. There you go. But fine. There's also, now, this is unconfirmed, but there has been a lot of talk about just how much stock they are printing for this. Big numbers are being said, so it could be quite possible that even so retail stores will have a lot of these on shelves, or it will be a very large print run. if some of the numbers I've heard are actually true, this will be around for the entire game's lifespan unless this game absolutely pops off in a way that no game should really pop off. So, impossible to know. That's a little bit rumor on regarding some things there. But it seems like they printed quite a lot, and there shouldn't be an issue in getting these delivered. And Archon Studio is one of the few companies in the West that is able to print to demand because they have entirely their own in-house stores. So if they say, we will make this to order, they can, and there won't be that big of a delay. It's not like GW where they say print to order and then it's 6 months. It will be print to order, 2 weeks, roughly. There you go. Very quickly, these are, this is the starter set. So you can just see what it looks like on the table. Because this is a 2-player starter box, you get terrain, you get a mat, which will be the 3 by 4.5 inch mat. Foot mat, obviously not inch, that would be weird. You get a bunch of models. I think it's 19 for the Terran and 32 for the Zerg, something like that. But yeah, that's the Limited Founders 2-player starter set. My understanding, don't quote me on this, is that going into the retail launch after the pre-order, there will not be a 2-player box. So if you want this mat, if you want the terrain bundled in, etc., this is the box to buy, as that won't be repeated. And this is the Protoss side. So as you see, significantly fewer models, it's half, but yeah, fine. Right. Very general costs in case you're just, you don't want specifics. You just want to know, hey, what's going on? If I buy one box, what do I get? Maybe you're a hobbyist. You don't need all of that plastic. You just want one cool dude. What are you looking at? So first things first, as you would expect if you're familiar with GW, the amount of plastic you get in the box is pretty much irrelevant. We have a single model going for the maximum cost. We have 3 models going for the minimum or the maximum. It's completely all over the place. Okay. However, they have 3 price points, and again, I'm using pounds, GBP, because there you go. £35 is their maximum box price. Then there's one for 29, and then there's one for 25. I believe there's actually only it's either 1 or 2 models that are £25. So expect your box to cost £35. 35 for 18 models is your Zerglings. So that's a thing. But then you can also spend £35 for 1 model, which is a hero, or you can spend £35 for 3 models, which is your Protoss Zealots. So again, the plastic does not matter. It's just like random, to be honest. There you go. Don't know what to say about that. Yeah. It's not even down to they had to use the clear plastic sprue like technology in this so that they could, I don't know, save tool costs, and that means it's automatically 35. I cannot figure out why they have the different prices at all. It could all just be 35, frankly. But there you go. And then very roughly, if you are not purchasing any of the Founders starter boxes, if you're buying a Founders starter box, so this a starter box, and then you want to build out the rest of the army without duplicates, you're looking at about £250 for a full army, which, yes, is more than the previously stated 160 for the Protoss. But that's just because that was an unoptimized list that I built there, using just the Founders Editions to how can I get to 2k points as fast as possible. But if you want a bit more range in that range, about £250 for a full army is roughly what you're looking at. And that means buying the starter box and one of everything, basically, but more as well. But more as well. There you go. Which again, hey, if we compare this to GW, there is no army for GW that only costs £250. For safety's sake, let's say it's £300, roughly. Yeah, you're still beating anything GW does. There you go. GW has no 40k or Age of Sigmar army that only costs £300. Even Marines using some crazy tactics to get them. Cool. Right, best buy options. So this is kind of how, let me explain what I've put here first. So if you are looking to buy stuff, buy the Founders Editions. I'm going to buy the 2-player starter box and the Protoss, and that's it. Because those are the things that you cannot buy again. They have said that I'll talk about that in a moment. No, sorry. Let's stay focused on the slide. You don't need everything. By which I mean, guys, I've been in many games. You don't have to be a completionist. You don't need every single faction. You even don't need everything for your faction. However, if like me, you have that I want to buy everything vibe, because I do, trust me, um, this is a great time to buy everything, but you don't need it. Okay? You can be super chill, buy 2 Protoss boxes, and you're done. You have the full game for 160 quid. That's really good. That's really good. Now I put FLGS no benefit on launch. To be clear, I have stated that based on what I heard people saying online, so that is not proven. And don't forget, I am recording this before the pre-orders have gone up. What I actually mean by this, I assume that FLGSs are still going to be able to give you a 10% discount or whatever it is. But I heard somebody say that Archon Studios is not going to be uh, prioritizing local game stores when it comes to releases. So it's not like we need to send 300 boxes to Wayland Games in the UK first. And once we've done that, we're then going to send the individual boxes to people that ordered through us instead of through them. And what they've said, and what people have said, sorry, FLGSs will get no priority treatment when it comes to releases, at least for the pre-order. I assume that they will get priority treatment in future releases, but because they have such a long timeline here to do pre-orders, they will probably not get priority. Again, that is what I have read online from what others have said. It wouldn't surprise me if local game stores did get priority just because they will have a very large order. And so purely from a logistics perspective, you have to send such a large order first. I don't know though. There you go. But that is something to keep in mind. You are going to be able to pre-order on the Archon website or on GameFound. Or, presumably, on your local game store, but none of that's confirmed yet. I know that Wayland Games is a reseller of Archon Studios in the UK officially. It's on the Archon Studio website. I know that one of my other affiliate sites, Red October Games, is trying to become one, but I think they aren't yet. I don't know. Anyone can stock them. I know that Element Games stocks Trench Crusade stuff that Archon's done. I know that Darksphere has put up a register of interest, etc., but I haven't seen the numbers yet. But I assume they will offer a discount. Cool, right. We then go to the actual dudes themselves. So, very, very briefly, if you buy the Terran box, so this is the 2-player starter box, what do you actually get in there? If you just take every model and build everything at its absolute minimum, you get 930 points. Again, these are beta points. This might have gone up by 50 or down by 50, who knows, but that's a large number, probably up or down by like 30 tops. So if you just buy one box, you get 930 points for the Terran. And if you then buy one of everything and give everybody all of the upgrades you can, so for the Terran, all that means is you're buying the 2-player starter and you're then buying the Goliath kit. You will then give them all the upgrades, you get 1290. So you take your 1290 and you then figure out what you want to add to that. So that's about 1300. A squad of 6 Marines is like, I think it's 150-ish. Although if you give them upgrades, it's more like 180-ish. So you could just spam 6 more Marine squads or whatever, to get to round yourselves out. But I think that's a pretty good vibe check of what exactly you are looking to add. So it's great to say that, hey, you get 1,000 points in the starter box. You do. But where do you go from there? Like, what do you buy next? Well, that's the Terran. So 930 minimum, 1290 maximum, plus the Goliath. Zerg, same thing. Founders Edition minimum, which again is the 2-player starter box, is 1,100. I really feel like I got this number wrong, but that's what the beta stats, that's what the beta rules points had them at. So feels way, way higher, but I guess it is what it is, right? And then if you buy one of everything, which means you're buying Hydralisks on top of that, and you then max out all of their stats, all of their upgrades, I had us at 1810. which again is massive. That's a huge number. Which means that at the moment, at least, Zerg are easily the cheapest faction to get into, because after that, to get to 2k points, you only have to buy like one more box of whatever you want. Oh, do I need to talk about the Founders Edition? I do. Let's do the Zerg. Let's do the Protoss. Protoss are 18,870 minimum. And which can then, if you buy the additional box, which I want to say is the Sentry, I think, but it's the additional box. Every faction releases with, I think it's 5 boxes, and 4 boxes are in the starter, the Founders Edition, and they have 1 box that you can buy outside of the Founders Edition. So if you get everything for Protoss and you give them all the upgrades, you get 1510, which honestly, I think Protoss are a great faction to start with. After that, just add like 3 squads, which is 2 boxes because they're 2 in each squad. Add like 2, 3, 4, whatever. 2 boxes. That's what you need to buy of the Zealots, and you're good to go. That's your full Protoss faction for really not much at all. That is cheaper than buying 2 Founders boxes for the Protoss there. Likewise, obviously the Zerg could be even cheaper than that because you only need 1 extra box. And it seems like the Terran are kind of the losers on the points front, which is again really strange, but it's fine. It's fine. The reason is because you get so many Zerglings in 1 box, you can actually make quite a lot of. And is it the Roaches? One of the others also has a lot of models in, which are quite high in points, and that's why the Zerg are so high. Again, base points might have changed. Very quickly, if I go back to one of these, the Founders Edition. The Founders Editions actually don't come with everything. To quickly clarify that statement, you get, so as an example, if you buy a box of Marines on their own, you have your Marines and you have additional upgrades they can have, and you have alternate units they can be built as. Cool. I don't know what those things are, but you can. When you buy the Founders Edition, you get 2 sprues of Marines, and I believe you only get 1 sprue of upgrades. I think. I haven't actually seen that confirmed, but I think you get. So since you only get the 1 sprue of upgrades, you can't fully upgrade both Marine squads. There you go. That's roughly what's happening. It's the same for the Protoss, and it's the same for the Zerg. Buying the Founders Edition doesn't actually give you the full upgrade capacity of every unit they have. Cool. So that's a thing to keep in mind. I believe the way it works is that you can fully upgrade one of the squads, and then the other squad will just have to be basic bitches. Cool. There we go. Zerg, Protoss, and then the future. So very quickly, talk about the future here. So Battle Force boxes is something they've mentioned, and we've got to talk about 40k 11th edition. So, and that's the actual timeline there. So as you can see, we're going to have shipping April to May, the early birds, which is presumably the pre-orders. And then we get a Siege Tank, a Ravager, an Immortal, and Zeratul over in June. And then in August, we get Terrain, which is cool, including High Ground. That's good. And Lost Temple. Very cool. But we also get a bunch of other stuff. We get Raven and Nova, who are some Spectres, Defiler, Zagara, blah, blah, blah. High Templar, Tassadar. Cool. And then Banshee, Mutalisk, Scout. Banshee. Anyway, so that's all very cool. I really want the Wraith. I'm a big fan of the Terran Wraith, I must say. But let's not dwell. So that's cool. That's what's coming. If you want to go and check all of that stuff out, every Friday, Archon Studio does an AMA. It's a 2-hour-long live stream where they answer a whole load of questions. Most of it gets filtered down into Reddit, where people kind of post a summary there. Battle Force boxes is something they have mentioned. So going into the future, what they're doing is very, very similar to Games Workshop. So, and I'm making this up, but so to illustrate a point, when the Siege Tank releases, perhaps in June, instead of re-releasing the 2-player starter box or the Founders Editions, they might release the Siege Tank both as a unit and as a box that comes with both a Siege Tank and a Terran Marine squad and Firebats, blah, 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 whatever. So yes, that is their plan. Battle Forces will be a regularly released product. We don't know if it will be permanently in stock. We don't know if... I get the impression that Battle Forces are going to replace the actual starter sets, the founder sets, sorry, and they will become the starter sets. So this is hypothetical. Um, Perhaps when the Siege Tank, the Ravager, and the Immortal and Zeratul release, what we will actually get is our true starter sets, where we get the Siege Tank, the terrain kit, two squads of Marines. And that will then be the way that you buy into the game if you've missed the pre-order. There you go. But they have said Battle Force boxes are going to be a thing they do. Very quickly, I want to touch on 11th edition 40k. 11th edition is going to release in June, which is wave 2 of this game. They're gonna release April to May, and then next month 40k 11th edition will release. So what I would imagine is that that's gonna cause StarCraft to, in essence, die for some time as people move on. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I mentioned at the start that this is a competitive game, a competitive, focused-minded game. I think it has to be, because if you look at what StarCraft, the computer game, is like, that's a competitive game. The reason it has survived as long as it has is due to the competitiveness of it, even though, as a non-competitive person, the campaign for it is stellar. It's really great. I'd be more than happy to see this as a narrative game, but I think that competition, competitiveness is a good thing. Certainly, I've been to the Polish kill team side. They are deathly competitive over there. So maybe that's just part of the Polish spirit. Who knows? Um, but additionally, I've just seen that Art of War, who of course are a 40k channel, are going to be doing content for this. So quite clearly, presumably, Archon reached out to them and they said, "Yeah, we're going to do competitive content for this," which is really cool. I think that's really good. But obviously, once 11th edition comes out, content creators that are here for now aren't going to be here then, because they know which side of their bread gets buttered by GW, if you know what I mean. However, I don't think this is a bad thing. Again, I think it's totally okay. Like, this is not going to dethrone 40k. Nothing will ever. It does have a big name IP behind it, but frankly, StarCraft is not the big name IP that Warhammer is anymore. Let's be very clear about that. Maybe it was 2 decades ago, but they missed that boat. And it's totally okay for people to oscillate between different games. I'm very excited to play and StarCraft now, but when 11th edition comes out with new Orcs and Marines, I'm going to go and play that, because that sounds great as well. And then whenever the next thing comes around, be really into 11th, play one game and say, "This is shit, isn't it?" And then go back to StarCraft because, "Oh yeah, this is much more fun." But it's okay for people to do that and for people to go up and down in their interests of things. So just don't think that because 11th edition releases and it then kills the game and all online chat for it, which it will, that the game is actually dead. People are just enjoying the hobby of wargaming, and that's okay. Especially with the fact, as mentioned, that speculation on my part, but Archon is pushing this as a competitive game. There is no game more competitively focused than 40k at the moment. So they're not really doing their own thing in regards to like building a niche. Their niche is it's StarCraft, which is fine. But the quality of the rules doesn't matter. 40k is 40k. You can't get it in its way. It does feel a bit of a shame that they are releasing right now, a month before 11th edition. That does seem a poor choice. If this had managed to release like 8 months earlier, I think that would be really, really healthy for it. But it is what it is. Hey, shipping stuff is hard. But there you go. Anyway, cool. So that's what I hopefully have imparted some knowledge upon you. I hope that's been useful for you. I hope to see you in random comment sections of other YouTube channels where I'm talking about StarCraft, because I'm pretty excited for it. And yeah, that's it. Cool. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Oh, sorry. Put my money where my mouth is, of course. I will be buying 2 of each of the starter boxes. So I'll be getting 2 2-player starter boxes and 2 Protoss boxes. I've already decided that. From wherever. I don't know if I'm getting it from my local game store or if I'm getting it from the Game Found or the Archon Studio website. There doesn't seem to be a preference for any of them. But if I can support my local game store, I will, as you should as well, of course. But yeah, that's my plan, because That way, this is the smart money. Everything else, look, I want a Goliath, I want a Sentry, I want Hydralisks, but all of those are not limited edition. I can get those anytime in the future. But this way, I'm first putting my money where my mouth is and telling Archon Studios, yes, I want this, and I am voting with my wallet. But I'm also prepared for the notion that nobody around me ever wants to play this game, which is pretty standard where I live, sadly. Is what it is. And I can, you know, do that. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you probably under the Art of War comments page where I can actually talk about this. Cheers. Bye.